I need you to hear this carefully before your mind tries to defend itself. Your problem is probably not that you dream too big. Your problem is that part of you still believes your current identity is safer than your future, and that creates a silent war inside the nervous system. Because dreaming is easy for the brain. Dreaming costs nothing. You can imagine success while staying emotionally attached to the same routines, the same delays, the same comfort patterns that keep your reality exactly where it is. And that's why so many people live inside potential for years without ever crossing into movement. Notice your breathing for a moment, not changing it, just noticing whether your chest feels slightly tight hearing this. Because the body reacts when truth touches an identity it's been protecting. And if you're honest with yourself, you've probably experienced this loop before. You imagine a massive future. You feel inspired for a moment. You see the vision clearly. You tell yourself, and this time I'm really going to change. And then, nothing. A few hours pass, a few days pass, the energy disappears, and suddenly you're back inside the same habits that made you miserable in the first place. Not because you're lazy, because your nervous system still feels emotionally familiar with limitation. That's the part nobody talks about. People think action is controlled purely by motivation. It's not. Action is deeply connected to identity. Your system will always try to return to what feels emotionally known, even when the known reality hurts you. Think about that carefully. A person can consciously want success while unconsciously identifying with delay. They can want confidence while emotionally remaining attached to self-doubt. They can dream about freedom while still organizing their daily life around avoidance. And the nervous system will always follow the strongest identity, not the loudest goal. Notice your jaw right now, because this is where internal conflict often hides. That subtle tension between what you want and what feels emotionally believable for you. And that's why dreaming big alone changes nothing. Visualization without identity change becomes emotional entertainment, temporary stimulation, a dopamine spike that makes you feel close to transformation without actually moving toward it. And modern life makes this worse. People consume motivation constantly. Videos, quotes, podcasts, ideas. But consumption can create the illusion of progress while your real life stays untouched. Because information does not automatically become embodiment, you can know exactly what to do and still remain frozen. Why? Because movement threatens the old identity. And the old identity always wants safety more than expansion. Notice your shoulders. If they feel slightly tense, that's important, because the body braces itself whenever growth starts feeling real instead of imaginary. And here's the deeper truth. Big dreams are not the problem. Your dreams are probably real. Your vision is probably real. The issue is that your current nervous system may still associate action with risk, embarrassment, uncertainty, emotional exposure. So instead of moving, you stay inside imagination. Because imagination feels safer than transformation. No failure, no judgment, no discomfort. But eventually, the mind starts suffering from unrealized potential. And I think many of you are there right now. Exhausted not from failure, but from constantly carrying visions you haven't fully stepped into yet. So before we go deeper, mark this moment honestly. Comment. My identity has been fighting my vision, not dramatically, truthfully. And repeat this slowly. Dreaming is not the same as becoming. Again, dreaming is not the same as becoming. Because in the next part, we're going into the hidden conflict between vision and identity. And once you see it clearly, you'll understand why motivation alone was never enough. Most people think they fail to act because they need more discipline, more motivation, more confidence. But many times, the real problem is deeper. Part of you wants the future. Another part of you is emotionally loyal to the past. And those two forces cannot move cleanly in the same direction. Notice your breathing, not controlling it, just noticing whether your body feels slightly more alert hearing this. Because internal conflict creates tension even when the mind tries to ignore it. And I think many of you have been living inside this conflict for years without fully recognizing it. Consciously, you imagine expansion, success, freedom, confidence, but unconsciously, your identity may still be organized around survival, avoidance, delay, playing small enough to remain emotionally safe. That's why you can genuinely want a different life, while repeatedly acting against the very things that would create it. Not because you're fake, because the nervous system protects familiarity before possibility. Think about that carefully. If your identity was built during years of rejection, criticism, instability, or emotional inconsistency, then safety may have quietly become more important than growth. So every time real movement becomes possible, hesitation appears, overthinking appears, sudden exhaustion appears. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, next week, when you're more prepared, when you feel more ready. But readiness often becomes a psychological hiding place. Notice your jaw right now, because this is where the body holds resistance to change. That subtle tightening when action starts feeling emotionally real instead of hypothetical. And here's the dangerous part. The mind becomes incredibly intelligent at disguising fear as logic. You say, I just need more time. I need the perfect plan first. I need to learn more before starting. But many times, that's not preparation. That's emotional protection. Because if you never fully begin, you never fully risk failure. And the nervous system interprets avoiding emotional pain as success, even while your future slowly collapses from inaction. That's why this conflict feels exhausting. One part of you keeps seeing your potential, another part keeps pulling you back toward what's emotionally familiar. And the longer this continues, the more painful dreaming becomes. Because eventually the vision stops inspiring you. It starts haunting you. You begin feeling the weight of the person you could become, while watching yourself repeat the same cycles anyway. Notice your shoulders. If they feel slightly heavier hearing this, that's important, because the body recognizes unresolved internal conflict immediately. And here's the truth most people avoid. You cannot build a new life while remaining emotionally committed to the identity that created the old one. At some point, the survival version of you has to loosen its grip, not through self-hatred, not through force, through recognition, through realizing that the version of you avoiding action is not protecting your future anymore. It's protecting your fear of discomfort. And once you truly see that, something begins shifting internally. Action stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like alignment. So if this resonates, if you feel like part of you has secretly been emotionally attached to staying small, even while dreaming big, mark this moment honestly. Comment, my old identity fears my future. Not emotionally, truthfully, and repeat this slowly. I cannot become different while protecting the same patterns. Again, I cannot become different while protecting the same patterns. Because in the next part, we're going into how fear disguises itself as waiting. And this is where the illusion finally starts breaking. Most people don't realize they're afraid, not consciously, because fear rarely introduces itself honestly. It doesn't walk into your mind and say, I'm stopping you from becoming who you could be. No. Fear becomes smarter than that. It disguises itself as logic, as preparation, as timing, as waiting until you're ready. Notice your breathing for a moment, not controlling it, just noticing whether your chest feels slightly tighter hearing this. Because deep down, most people already know exactly what they've been postponing. And if we're being real, some of you have been preparing for years, thinking, planning, watching, imagining, researching, waiting for clarity, waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence. But waiting can become an identity, a permanent emotional hiding place where you stay close enough to your dream to fantasize about it, while remaining far enough away to avoid risking failure. Think about that carefully. because the mind would often rather suffer inside familiar disappointment than risk unfamiliar exposure. That's why fear doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like endlessly consuming information without applying it. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism. Sometimes it looks like, I just need a little more time. And sometimes it looks like dreaming about becoming someone different while emotionally remaining loyal to the same patterns every single day. Notice your jaw right now, because hesitation lives in the body before it becomes visible in behavior. That subtle tension, that internal pause right before movement. And the dangerous part is, the longer you wait, the more normal waiting feels. You start building an identity around potential instead of action. People even begin describing you that way. So much potential. So smart. So talented. So capable. But potential without movement slowly becomes psychological pain, because your nervous system can feel the distance between who you are and who you know you could become. And eventually, that gap creates exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion first, emotional exhaustion. The exhaustion of constantly imagining another life while repeatedly returning to the same reality. And here's the deeper truth. Many people are not afraid of failure. They're afraid of transformation, because transformation requires losing the identity they've emotionally known their entire life. If you become disciplined, your excuses disappear. If you become focused, distraction loses power over you. If you actually start moving seriously toward your future, then your life can no longer remain emotionally comfortable in the same way. And part of the nervous system resists that, because certainty feels safer than possibility, even painful certainty. Notice your shoulders. If they feel heavier hearing this, that's important, because the body recognizes emotional truth before the ego fully accepts it. And I think some of you are finally reaching the point where waiting hurts more than movement, where staying the same has become more painful than risking change. That's the turning point. That's when fear starts losing control, not because you become fearless, but because the cost of remaining stuck becomes impossible to ignore. And before we close this part, I want to say something honestly. Over the past few weeks, I've been quietly working on a book for this community. Not because I wanted to make another temporary motivational product people forget after 2 days, and not because I wanted to sell empty inspiration. Honestly, I see a lot of things online now that give people emotional highs without actually helping them rebuild themselves internally, and I never wanted to create something like that for you. I wanted to build something real, something practical, something that actually helps people understand why they keep repeating cycles, why they struggle to follow through, why they feel mentally fragmented even when they dream big. Because I genuinely believe one of the biggest problems today is not lack of intelligence, it's internal contradiction. People want peace while feeding chaos, want discipline while remaining emotionally attached to comfort, want transformation while unconsciously protecting the identity that keeps them stuck. And over time, that contradiction drains people deeply. Not physically first, mentally, emotionally, energetically. People wake up exhausted before the day even begins. Constant thoughts, constant stimulation, constant comparison, constant pressure, and eventually the nervous system loses stability. That's why while writing this book, I've been thinking deeply about something. How do you help someone stop living only inside imagination and finally become a person who follows through? How do you rebuild self-trust after years of delay? How do you stop depending on motivation and start building internal consistency? How do you calm the nervous system enough for action to stop feeling emotionally threatening? How do you actually change your identity instead of temporarily feeling inspired? Because real transformation is not built through hype alone. It's built through structure, awareness, repetition, embodiment, and that's exactly what this is being designed around. Not just motivation, practical internal rebuilding, something people can return to during periods where they feel lost, overwhelmed, stuck in overthinking, emotionally frozen between vision and action. Something that helps people become mentally clearer, emotionally stronger, more disciplined, more internally stable. Because information alone does not change a person. Applied consistency does. And I think many of you are reaching the point where you no longer want temporary inspiration. You want real change, real movement, real follow-through. So I want to ask you honestly, if I fully finish building this book, would you genuinely want something like that? Something designed not just to motivate you emotionally for one night, but to help you rebuild your relationship with action, focus, discipline, and your own mind over time. And if yes, tell me something honestly below. What is the biggest thing you feel keeps pulling you back from becoming who you know you could be? Because I'm paying attention very carefully to what this community is actually struggling with. And if I create this fully, I want it to carry real value. Now repeat this slowly before we continue. Waiting has been protecting my fear. Again. Waiting has been protecting my fear. And one more time. I am done confusing delay with preparation. Because in the next part, we're going into the dopamine trap of imagining without acting. And this is where the cycle finally becomes visible. The human brain is dangerous when it learns how to confuse imagination with progress. Because the moment you imagine a better future, your nervous system receives a temporary emotional reward, a dopamine response, a sense of movement, a feeling that something meaningful is happening, even when nothing in your real life has actually changed yet. And that's why dreaming can become addictive. Notice your breathing, not controlling it, just noticing whether your chest feels slightly heavier hearing this. Because some part of you probably already recognizes this pattern. You watch motivational content, you imagine your future, you picture success vividly, you feel emotionally activated for a few hours, maybe even a few days. And during that period, it feels like transformation has already started. But then reality asks the real question, will you move? And that's where the cycle breaks. Because imagining success and building success activate completely different parts of the nervous system. Imagination feels safe, action feels vulnerable. Imagination gives emotional reward immediately. Action usually gives discomfort first. That's why so many people unconsciously become consumers of inspiration instead of creators of change. Notice your jaw right now, because this is where resistance often appears when movement becomes real. That subtle tension, that hesitation, that invisible emotional friction between fantasy and execution. And modern life makes this trap even worse. Short-form content, constant stimulation, endless motivation. Your brain gets flooded with emotional intensity without needing real effort. You can feel productive without producing anything, feel inspired without changing anything, feel close to your future while remaining physically stuck in the exact same patterns. And over time, the nervous system starts preferring imagination over embodiment. Why? Because imagination gives pleasure without risk. No uncertainty, no rejection, no possibility of failure. But eventually, the dopamine fades. And when it fades, many people crash emotionally because they mistake emotional intensity for genuine transformation. That's why motivation alone never lasts. Because dopamine cannot replace identity change. Think about this carefully. A person can spend years visualizing success while their daily habits continue reinforcing limitation. Sleeping late, avoiding difficult tasks, escaping discomfort, over-consuming stimulation, waiting for emotional certainty before acting. And the nervous system becomes fragmented, one part addicted to fantasy, another part terrified of execution. Notice your shoulders. If they feel slightly tense hearing this, that's important, because the body recognizes when it has been trapped in emotional loops disguised as progress. And here's the deeper truth most people avoid. Your dreams are not built through emotional highs. They're built through repeated movement after the emotional high disappears. That's the difference between fantasy and transformation. Transformation continues even when motivation fades, even when the mood disappears, even when nobody claps for you. And I think many of you are finally reaching the point where temporary inspiration no longer satisfies you. You don't just want to imagine another life anymore. You want to enter it. And that's where everything begins changing. Because the moment action becomes more emotionally rewarding than fantasy, your identity starts reorganizing itself around movement instead of imagination. Notice the center of your chest, not emotionally, just whether there's pressure, openness, or stillness there right now. Because recognition changes people, not instantly, but deeply. So if this resonates, if you feel like you've been emotionally feeding on inspiration without fully stepping into disciplined movement yet, mark this moment honestly. Comment, "I've been addicted to imagining." Not with shame, with awareness. And repeat this slowly. My future is built through action, not emotional stimulation. Again. My future is built through action, not emotional stimulation. Because in the next part, we're going into how to rebuild self-trust through small movement. And this is where real transformation finally begins becoming practical. Most people think confidence comes first, that one day they'll suddenly feel motivated enough, certain enough, disciplined enough, and then they'll finally start moving consistently. But confidence is usually not the cause of movement. It's the result of repeated evidence. And that's the part many people miss. Notice your breathing for a moment, not controlling it, just noticing whether your body feels slightly calmer hearing this. Because deep down, your nervous system is exhausted from making promises to itself that it no longer fully believes. And if we're honest, some of you have spent years breaking trust with yourselves in small ways. You said you would start. You didn't. You said tomorrow would be different. It wasn't. You created plans, routines, visions, goals. But emotionally, your nervous system slowly stopped believing your own words. Not because you're weak, because repeated inaction teaches the body that intention does not equal movement. And eventually, self-doubt becomes automatic. That's why rebuilding your life does not start with massive action. It starts with rebuilding credibility with yourself again. Small movement, repeated consistently. That's what changes identity. Notice your jaw right now, because many people tense up hearing the word small. The ego wants dramatic transformation, instant breakthrough, massive overnight change. But real nervous system change happens through repetition, not intensity. A person who consistently follows through on small actions becomes more powerful over time than someone constantly waiting for huge emotional motivation. Why? Because consistency creates internal evidence, and evidence changes identity faster than imagination ever will. Think about a child learning to walk. They don't build confidence first and then move. They move badly, repeatedly, and through movement, confidence forms naturally. Human transformation works the same way. The problem is, most adults attach their identity to immediate success. So when action feels uncomfortable or imperfect, they emotionally retreat back into imagination again. But your nervous system doesn't need perfection to rebuild trust. It needs proof. Proof that movement is becoming real. Notice your shoulders. If they feel slightly lighter hearing this, that's important. Because the body relaxes differently when growth stops feeling impossible. And here's the deeper truth. Small movement destroys emotional paralysis faster than endless thinking ever will. One difficult phone call, 1 hour of focused work, one consistent habit, one uncomfortable conversation, one promise kept to yourself. Those things seem small externally, but internally, they begin reorganizing identity. Because every time you follow through, even in a small way, the nervous system receives a new message. Maybe I can trust myself again. And that matters more than motivation, because self-trust is what allows action to continue after inspiration disappears. And I think many of you are finally realizing something important. You do not need to become a completely different person overnight. You need to stop abandoning yourself daily. That's the real shift. Not dramatic reinvention, reliable movement. Notice the center of your chest. Not emotionally. Just whether there's tension, pressure, or steadiness there right now. Because your body already knows the difference between fantasy and grounded movement. And grounded movement creates stability. That's why discipline becomes easier once self-trust returns. You stop negotiating with yourself constantly. You stop needing emotional hype every day just to function. Action becomes less emotional and more natural, like brushing your teeth, like breathing, like becoming someone who simply does what they said they would do. And that's when identity starts changing for real. So if this resonates, if you feel like the real thing missing in your life has not been potential but trust in your own consistency, mark this moment honestly. Comment, I rebuild trust through movement, not dramatically, practically. And repeat this slowly. I do not need massive action to change my life. Again, I do not need massive action to change my life. And one more time. Small, consistent movement is changing who I become. Because in the next part, we're going into becoming the person who actually follows through. And this is where action stops feeling forced and starts becoming identity. Most people are waiting to feel like it before they move. But people who consistently change their lives usually stop negotiating with their emotions every single day. That's the difference. Notice your breathing for a moment, not controlling it. Just noticing whether it feels steadier now compared to the beginning of this video. Because something shifts internally when action stops feeling like a temporary emotional event and starts feeling like part of who you are becoming. And I think many of you are standing at that exact turning point right now. The point where you are exhausted from starting over, exhausted from getting inspired, then disappearing again, exhausted from constantly imagining the future while emotionally remaining attached to inconsistent behavior. Because eventually, inconsistency becomes painful, not because you're failing publicly, because your nervous system becomes tired of carrying unrealized potential. Notice your jaw right now, because this matters. Following through is not just a productivity skill, it's an identity shift. A person who follows through thinks differently, moves differently, relates to discomfort differently. They stop treating every difficult emotion like a stop sign. That's the real change, because people who stay stuck often unconsciously believe action should feel emotionally comfortable first. But meaningful action usually feels uncomfortable in the beginning, not because it's wrong, because growth stretches the nervous system beyond familiarity, and the old version of you interprets unfamiliarity as danger. That's why discipline feels emotionally unnatural at first, why focus feels uncomfortable, why consistency feels heavy in the beginning. You're not just changing behavior, you're changing your relationship with discomfort itself. Think about athletes, writers, artists, entrepreneurs, people who create meaningful things consistently. Most of them are not magically motivated every day. They simply stop making their emotions the leader of their actions, and that's one of the biggest mindset shifts a person can make. Notice your shoulders. If they feel slightly more relaxed hearing this, that's important, because the body responds differently when action stops feeling emotionally impossible. And here's the deeper truth. The person you want to become already exists in repeated behavior, not fantasy, not potential, behavior. A disciplined person becomes disciplined by practicing discipline repeatedly. A focused person becomes focused through repeated focus. An emotionally resilient person becomes resilient by staying present during discomfort instead of escaping it constantly. Identity is built through accumulated evidence, and every time you follow through, even when you don't feel like it, you cast another vote for the person you're becoming. That's why small consistency matters so much. Not because each action changes your life instantly, Because repeated actions slowly change self-perception, and self-perception changes reality. You begin seeing yourself differently, speaking to yourself differently, expecting more from yourself naturally, not from pressure, from alignment. Notice the center of your chest, not emotionally, just noticing whether it feels steadier hearing this. Because your nervous system is listening carefully to the possibility that change may actually be simpler than you thought. Not easy, but simpler. Less about waiting for perfect emotions, more about repeated movement. And here's the moment where everything starts shifting. When you stop asking, how do I stay motivated? And start asking, how do I become someone who moves regardless? That's the identity transition. That's when your future stops depending on temporary emotional states and starts depending on structure, standards, consistency, embodiment. Because motivation fades, identity remains. So if this resonates, if you're finally realizing that the real goal is not chasing emotional inspiration, but becoming someone who naturally follows through, mark this moment honestly. Comment, I become someone who moves, not emotionally, practically, and repeat this slowly. I do not wait for motivation to act. Again, I do not wait for motivation to act. And one more time, consistency is becoming my identity. Because in the final part, we're going into stabilizing action as your new default. And this is where transformation finally becomes sustainable. Most people think changing your life is about intensity. One huge breakthrough, one perfect routine, one massive moment where everything suddenly clicks forever. But real change usually happens differently. Quietly, repeatedly, through the gradual stabilization of new behaviors until they stop feeling like effort and start feeling normal. That's the real goal. Not temporary motivation, not emotional hype. Identity stabilization. Notice your breathing one more time. Not controlling it, just noticing how different your body feels compared to the beginning of this video. Because recognition changes people. The nervous system shifts when it finally understands why the cycle has been repeating for so long, and maybe for the first time, you realize the problem was never that you lacked potential. It was that your identity and your actions were moving in opposite directions. One part of you imagined expansion, another part stayed emotionally attached to delay, comfort, avoidance, and inconsistency. And that internal contradiction kept draining your energy. But now something changes. Because once you truly see the pattern, you stop romanticizing it. You stop calling procrastination waiting for the right moment. You stop calling fear preparation. You stop mistaking imagination for movement. And that's where real power begins returning. Notice your jaw. If it feels softer now, that's important. Because the body relaxes differently when it stops fighting itself internally. And here's the deeper truth. Action becomes sustainable when it stops being emotional. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation every night to do it. You don't sit there negotiating with yourself emotionally. Why? Because the behavior became identity. And eventually, meaningful action works the same way. You stop making movement a dramatic event. You stop needing perfect moods, perfect energy, perfect timing. You simply become someone who moves, someone who follows through, someone who keeps promises to themselves even when emotions fluctuate. And that's the version of you your future actually requires. Not the endlessly inspired version, the reliable version, the grounded version, the version capable of continuing after the excitement disappears. Notice your shoulders. If they feel lighter, calmer, more open, that's the nervous system beginning to understand that discipline is not punishment. It's self-respect in motion. And I think many of you are finally reaching the point where you're tired of watching your potential from a distance. You don't want another year of imagining anymore. You want embodiment, movement, consistency, real change. And the beautiful thing is, real change does not require perfection. It requires repetition, repeated focus, repeated follow-through, repeated moments where you choose movement over avoidance, and over time, those moments become identity. That's how people transform. Not overnight, but through accumulated evidence that they are no longer abandoning themselves daily. Notice the center of your chest, not emotionally, just whether it feels steadier right now. Because something important may have clicked during this video. Your future is not built through what you occasionally feel. It's built through what you repeatedly do. And once action stabilizes, life begins responding differently. Self-trust returns, clarity returns, momentum returns. Even confidence starts appearing naturally, because confidence is often just evidence remembered by the nervous system. So before we close this, to mark this moment honestly, comment, "I stop abandoning my future," not as motivation, as decision. And if you've stayed all the way through this video, subscribe to the channel. Because this channel is not about temporary emotional hype. It's about understanding the deeper psychological and energetic patterns that quietly shape people's lives. And if someone came to mind while listening to this, someone who dreams big but secretly feels trapped in cycles of delay and inconsistency, share this video with them. Because sometimes people don't need more motivation. Sometimes they need clarity about what's actually happening inside them. And before we end, I want to say something honestly. Over the past few weeks, while creating these videos, I've also been working deeply on something for this community. A book designed around many of the things we talked about here today. Not surface-level motivation, not just think positive, something practical, something designed to help people rebuild self-trust, emotional stability, focus, discipline, and internal consistency in a world full of distraction and mental exhaustion. Because I genuinely believe many people today are not lazy, they're fragmented, pulled in too many directions internally, overstimulated, emotionally drained, disconnected from themselves. And I want to create something that actually helps people rebuild from that place honestly and practically. Something that helps people stop living only inside potential and finally start becoming the person they keep imagining. So I want to ask you something honestly. If I fully complete this project, would you genuinely want something like that? Something designed not just to inspire you emotionally for one night, but to help you create real internal change over time? If yes, and tell me below, what is the biggest habit, mindset, or emotional pattern you're trying to overcome right now? Because I'm paying close attention to what this community actually needs. Now, one final activation before we close. Repeat this slowly. I become someone who follows through. Again. I become someone who follows through. And one more time. My actions now reflect my future. Let those words settle. No pressure, no performance, just recognition. The version of you you've been imagining for years is built through what you choose repeatedly starting now.